Why do we binge watch instead of study when a 10-page paper is due tomorrow? You know the feeling, right? It's 2 a.m., the deadline is literally tomorrow, and instead of typing, you're suddenly convinced your sock drawer desperately needs color coordinating right this second. Look, if you've ever felt guilty over this, I want you to take a deep breath. Your academic procrastination, it is not a sign of laziness. It doesn't mean you have a weak character. It's actually a fundamental biological mismatch happening right inside your head.
Welcome to this explainer. Today we're decoding procrastination and giving you a science-backed blueprint for student focus. We're going to look at the actual neurology behind why we put things off, and more importantly, how you can hack your environment to beat it. Okay, let's dive into this.
Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We will cover the brain's tug-of-war, the trap of temporal discounting, designing your study environment, taming tech and time, and finally, mapping out your daily focus routine.
Section 1. The brain's tug-of-war.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what is going on up there. When you're faced with a heavy academic deadline, your brain is actively fighting a battle with itself. It's a literal tug-of-war. On the left, we have the limbic system. This is the ancient, emotional center of your brain. It is entirely focused on immediate survival, pleasure, and crucially, escaping from anxiety. On the right, we have the prefrontal cortex. This is the newer, rational part of your brain that handles your long-term goals and impulse control. So, when you need to study, your prefrontal cortex is the one begging you to open your textbook for the sake of your future grades. But the limbic system? Yeah, it has a very different agenda.
What happens next is a crazy phenomenon called the amygdala hijack. When you look at that massive syllabus or think about writing 10 pages, you feel a massive spike of stress. The amygdala, which is basically the threat detection alarm in your limbic system, perceives that stress not as an academic challenge, but as an immediate emotional threat. It essentially hits the panic button, shutting down the rational planning of your prefrontal cortex and demands immediate relief. It wants you to escape those negative emotions right now, which is why suddenly organizing your room or watching a funny video feels absolutely urgent.
Section 2. The trap of temporal discounting.
So, the crucial point here is understanding temporal discounting. This is a cognitive bias where we fundamentally devalue a reward based on how far away it is in the future. To your brain, an immediate dopamine hit from a social media notification feels inherently more valuable and way more real than the A+ you might get on a paper next month. The immediate reward is certain, it's right in front of you. The future reward requires waiting and carries uncertainty, so your brain mathematically discounts its value in favor of immediate gratification.
This is perfectly summarized by this quote from researchers Sorois and Peichel. Procrastinators tended to give priority to short-term mood repair in the present, even though their future self would pay for the inaction. I really want you to remember this. Procrastination is not a time management flaw. It is an emotional coping mechanism for stress. You are literally sacrificing your future self just to repair your mood in the present moment.
Section 3. Designing your study environment.
Because relying on sheer willpower is a losing battle against your limbic system, we need to make productivity the path of least resistance. Start by creating a specific, dedicated study environment to naturally remove the physical triggers that prompt procrastination. First, you need a workspace with minimal visual clutter. Visual chaos literally creates cognitive chaos. Second, never study in bed. You need strong contextual associations, so the bed is for sleep and the desk is for work. And third, face your desk toward a blank wall. Research actually shows that simply facing away from windows or high traffic areas can increase your focus by up to 30% just by removing visual distractions. Next up, you need to manage the auditory environment. Seriously, invest in some noise-canceling headphones. Studies have shown that unpredictable background noise actively interferes with your brain's logical reasoning and cognitive processing. Whether it's traffic outside or roommates talking, blocking out those environmental disruptions is an immediate, measurable focus upgrade. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the human element of your environment. You have to set clear household expectations to limit physical interruptions. Inform your family or roommates when you are doing a deep focus session. Use a shared calendar or just put a sign on your door. When you establish clear rules for when interruptions are allowed, you prevent those inevitable, well-meaning drop-ins that completely derail your deep work and force you to spend another 20 minutes just trying to get back into the zone.
Section 4. Taming Tech and Time.
Look, if the physical environment is full of distractions, our digital environment is an absolute minefield.
Our phones and laptops are the ultimate temporal discounting traps, just offering endless instant dopamine. To tame this, we need to implement digital tools to block distractions and maximize friction against our bad habits. Turn off all non-essential notifications while working. Use dedicated website blockers like Freedom, Forest, or Stay Focused to literally cut off your own access to social media and news sites during study periods. And adopt the one-screen rule. Keep only one active window open at a time. This preserves your cognitive energy and prevents the context-switching fatigue that makes your brain just want to give up. Once your tech is locked down, you need to use time blocks to maintain focus. Enter the Pomodoro Technique. This is an incredibly reliable way to manage deep work sessions. You simply pick one specific task, set a timer for 25 minutes of unbroken focus, take a 5-minute break to recharge, and then repeat the cycle. It takes massive, overwhelming projects and breaks them down into bite-sized, non-threatening pieces. And I really want to emphasize this number right here, 25. 25 minutes is the absolute golden rule for focused work blocks. Why? Because telling yourself you're only going to work for 25 minutes makes starting feel so much safer to your anxious limbic system. Having an end in sight lowers the barrier to entry. It drastically reduces the overwhelming dread of a 5-hour study marathon, while still actually getting you to put pen to paper.
Section 5. Your daily focus routine. We are going to combine all of these strategies into a highly actionable, practical daily operating system to help you overcome self-control challenges. Here's a list of simple daily habits to build long-term focus and discipline. First, use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. If it's a huge task, shrink the very first step to just 2 minutes, like simply opening a new document. Second, batch similar tasks together, like doing all your emails at once to reduce mental drag. Third, keep your phone entirely in another room while working. Out of sight really is out of mind. And fourth, celebrate small wins immediately. Checking off a box on a to-do list releases a tiny bit of dopamine, which helps bypass your brain's desire for immediate, unearned gratification.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a structured schedule you can use today. As a student guide to crushing those deadlines, this routine is gold. In the morning, you shower, dress, and organize your desk to switch your brain into work mode. During your pre-study phase, you turn on those app blockers and put on your noise-canceling headphones to eliminate triggers. For the actual study session, you execute your 25-minute Pomodoro blocks to sustain focus without burning out. And in the afternoon, you batch your smaller administrative tasks to reduce fatigue. This routine completely takes the guesswork out of your day and shields your prefrontal cortex from decision fatigue.
We've covered the biology of why you delay, how temporal discounting tricks your brain, and the exact environmental and digital tools you need to fight back. You now have the ultimate guide to beating academic burnout, but knowledge is only power if you actually use it. So I'm going to leave you with this question. What 2-minute action will you take right now to defeat your brain's tug-of-war? Do not wait for motivation to strike. Take control of your environment, set your timer, and start right now. Because once you learn how to stop fighting your own brain and start working with its biology, you really have to wonder, what else are you capable of achieving?